Hello and welcome to the TankSpot Holy Priest Guide. My name is Aliena, and in this video, I'll cover everything you need to know about Holy Priest talents, gearing choices, gemming, and basic spell usage and rotations. This video is up to date as of patch 3.2.2, and some info may become irrelevant or even false in the future. Priests are the only class capable of healing that has not one, but two talent trees dedicated to healing. Currently, Discipline Priests are widely seen as tank and prevention healers, while Holy Priests fill the niche of raid healers. For that, we have a wide array of tools, but the healing spells you'll most commonly use are Flash Heal, Circle of Healing, Prayer of Healing, Prayer of Mending, Renew, and Binding Heal. Those should have spots on your main action bar and be easily accessible. Less commonly used but good to keep keybound and memorized are Powered Shield, Greater Heal, Divine Hymn, Holy Nova, and Desperate Prayer. Each of the spells I just mentioned is situational. The beauty of mastering the priest class is gauging when to use which spell. I'm going to outline some general usage rules. These numbers are based on tests with 2300 spell power as an average gear example. First up, Circle of Healing. Circle of Healing is a very potent smart AoE healing spell that affects 5 or up to 6 targets if glyphed. With average gear, heals each target for about 2500 non-crit and 4000 to 5000 on crit, and has a 6-second cooldown timer. Circle of Healing should be used whenever 3 or more targets in the same general area take damage. Since it's a smart heal, you're not able to pick who it's going to heal, but it'll pick the 5 or 6 lowest health rate members within 18 yards of the target. COH is an instant spell, so it's excellent to use while moving around. Prayer of Healing is a party-wide AoE healing spell with a 3-second cast time, a 30-yard range, and a hefty mana cost. With average gear, it heals for about 4000 to 4500 on non-crit and 6000 plus on a crit. This should be used whenever whole parties are taking big chunks of damage, especially if said damage is predictable and you can start casting POH before the actual damage happens. Be aware that 3 seconds is a very long cast time, so avoid overhealing. Prayer of Mending is an amazing spell that no other class currently has an equivalent to. Once used on a target, it'll take effect once that target takes damage, and after healing it will bounce to another raid member in range that currently has the lowest health. Prayer of Mending has 5 charges and will bounce until either its charges run out, or the current target does not take damage within 30 seconds. It's on a 10-second cooldown timer and should be used on cooldown on a tank or someone else that will predictably take frequent damage. With average gear, it heals for about 4000 on a non-crit and 6000 plus on a crit. Flash Heal is our filler spell. This should be used to heal single target damage or as a filler while higher priority spells are on cooldown. With average gear, it heals for about 5000 and 7000 on a crit. Depending on your talents, those numbers may vary. You may also find that you're more comfortable using Renew as a filler spell. This really depends on your personal preference and how you like to heal. Renew is our only proper healing over time spell that's made very useful by talents. A basic Renew with average gear will heal anywhere from 1200 to 3000 per tick, depending on talents and glyphs. The downside is that it heals once every 3 seconds and takes a total of 5 times, and on top of that is fairly expensive mana-wise, so you may find it inefficient as a primary healing spell. The upside is that it's an instant spell without a cooldown, which makes it a perfect choice for on-the-run casting. Binding Heal should be used whenever you take damage at the same time as another person. In encounters where the raid takes constant damage, it can take the role as filler spell instead of Flash Heal. While it's fairly expensive as far as mana goes, it's a lot more efficient than Flash Heal when it heals its full potential. With average gear, it heals for about 5500 on each target on a non-crit and 8000 on a crit. Desperate Prayer is a potent instant self-heal with a 2-minute cooldown that should be used as an emergency heal when you see your own health dipping low quickly, or when you know you're about to take an inevitable chunk of damage. It heals for about 7000 on a non-crit with average gear and 11000 on a crit. Powered Shield is an amazing tool made awesome by talents for Disc Priests that loses a lot of value for Holy Priests, but it's still a nice prevention heal if you can predict damage, or a filler spell to use on a tank should there not be Disc Priest in the raid. Mind you that Disc Priest will not be very happy with you if you decide to randomly shield tanks, since it places a weakened soul debuff on the target that prevents reapplication of Powered Shield for 15 seconds. Greater Heal has certainly seen better days. Currently it's a fairly slow, weak, and inefficient single target heal that will find little to no use outside of 10-man raids and emergency tank heals. With average gear it heals for about 10,000 on a non-crit and 14,000 on a crit. These numbers may vary depending on talents. At best, and at the expense of 5 talent points, it has a 2.5 second cast time. Divine Hymn is an extremely potent and smart channeled AoE heal on a 10-minute cooldown timer. This is comparable to a Druid's Tranquility spell, except every tick it'll pick the 3 nearby lowest health targets to heal, regardless of party. It'll tick a total of 4 times on up to 3 people each time, and heals for roughly 6,000 non-crit and 8,000 on a crit. With the recent nerf to the Holy Nova glyph, it has pretty much lost its rate healing potential for now, but it's still a good idea to keep it handy for the odd case where your entire party is taking damage and remains within 10 yards of you. I don't, however, foresee using this much with the present game mechanics. That covers just about any healing spell you'll ever need to know about for raiding purposes. Next up, let's talk specs. Viable holy specs are fairly flexible, and a lot of it comes down to your usage of renew and preference of fun talents like body and soul. However, these days no priest gets around picking up meditation in the discipline tree. That means you'll always have to expend at least 13 points into discipline talents. And while you're already 3 tiers into the tree, you might as well pick up Inner Focus. It still is a staple in certain fights such as General Vezex, and it will always come in handy combined with the incredibly expensive Divine Hymn. Picking up Twin Disciples and approved Inner Fire on the way should be a no-brainer. Every once in a while, I see priests speccing into Silent Resolve. To that I have to say, if you're in a position to pick up Silent Resolve, your tank is doing something very, very wrong. That covers the essentials in the discipline tree. Let's have a look at the holy tree next. As mentioned, talents here are a lot more flexible, but I'll explain the staples that you really shouldn't skip. In the first tier, we have Holy Specialization. Even if you're a huge Renew fan, you should never skip this. 5% crit is great, even at the expense of 5 talent points. Neither talent in the second tier really sticks out, but I prefer Spell Warding as a filler talent over Divine Fury, simply because I currently hardly ever use Greater Heal. If you do a lot of tank healing in 10-man instances, you may choose to go for Divine Fury instead. Make sure to analyze how much you actually use Greater Heal and if it's worth it for you though. Inspiration in the third tier is a great talent not just for tank healing. Unless you regularly raid with multiple other priests that are specced into Inspiration, you should definitely pick this up. Staying in the same tier, I personally find Desperate Prayer to be a very worthwhile investment for 1 point. Moving on up to the fourth tier, Holy Reach. Since we're raid healers, we want to maximize the amount of targets our spells benefit. The more people with low health and range, the more damage healed. Fairly simple and straightforward. The fifth tier has a lot of staple talents. Spirit of Redemption is easily one of the most useful talents in the entire Holy Tree. A spirit increase of 5% is amazing for 1 talent point, and 15 seconds of additional healing post-death has never hurt anyone. Along with that, Spiritual Guidance, the talent that makes picking Spirit over MP5 on gear a no-brainer. Moving on to the next tier, Surge of Light and Spiritual Healing are also talents no priest should skip. Instant flesh shields are excellent for on-the-go healing, especially combined with Circle of Healing, which will typically crit at least on 1 person and hence has a good chance of triggering a search. Holy Concentration in the 7th tier was given to us to make up for a huge spirit nerf early on in Wrath of the Lich King. Since it procs off of both filler spells, Flesh Heal and Empowered Renew, it has a decent amount of uptime and should also be part of every Holy Priest build. Serendipity in the 8th tier is a great way to keep Prayer of Healing competitive. By default it's a very slow spell, but in combination with 3 stacks of Serendipity, it becomes a powerful raid healing tool. If at all possible, you should aim to acquire some Serendipity stacks between Prayer of Healing usage. Circle of Healing in the 9th tier is an absolute staple and should not be missing in any Holy Priest spec. Despite the many changes to it, it's still our bread and butter. Learn to love it. In the same tier, we also find Empowered Renew. No matter how much you like or dislike Renew, you should at least put 1 point into this talent since it gives Renew a chance to proc Holy Concentration and Surge of Light on top of its other benefits. Divine Providence in the 10th tier is also a no-brainer, to put 5 points into it. Lastly, we have our final 51-point talent, Guardian Spirit. Although its usage is occasional, it's an incredibly powerful tool that should not be missing in any Holy Priest's toolbox. Sometimes you'll be assigned to use it in a cooldown chain, other times you'll be able to use it as your discretion when a tank or another raid member is close to death. Either way, it ends up being very useful in many situations. Learn to love and use it.